grease monkey pretender!
Get out, grease monkey pretender! She doesn't shout it so much as carve it into the air with a smile that tastes like copper. In tea, hotel ballroom, night, a culinary gala blistering under chandelier light, cameras hiss, the room smells like butter and money. At the center, Celine Ardmore, a celebrated alabaster-polished chef in couture whites, the kind of person who puts her name on a knife and sells it for the price of rent. Next to her, in a borrowed black shirt and thrift store tie, stands Malik Carter, the food truck guy they let in as a local color feature, microphone like a hand grenade in his palm. Celine lets the insult hover, delicate as spun sugar. The audience chuckles the way people do when they're told it's safe to laugh. Malik absorbs it. He doesn't flinch, he files it under fuel. A journalist lobs a softball question. Celine swats it toward Malik. Street food has charm, she purrs. If you can do this, she gestures to the stage where cooks dance around copper pans. I'll marry you. Gasps, laughter. Malik meets her eyes. You mean cook better than you, he says, gentle as a prayer. Celine leans in, so close the cameras have to choose whose eyelashes to focus on. I'll marry you if you can cook better than me, whispers the celebrity chef to the food truck guy. A hush, a challenge sealed in perfume and broadcast lights. Deal, Malik says evenly. She tilts her head, theatrically doubtful. Then show us something elevated. Backstage, a line cook snickers. Someone starts recording. The hashtag births itself. Celine turns to the audience, grinning. Ladies and gentlemen, a charming interlude. Let's see what the city's curbside connoisseur can do. Malik exhales. On his phone's lock screen, a photo of his mother's hands dusted with flour. His thumb lingers there, not to pray, just to remember. And something in Celine's smile, flawless, surgical, tells us this isn't a flirt. It's an eviction. A test designed for him to fail in front of everyone. He pockets the phone, steps forward. The knives gleam like verdicts. Cut to black. EXT, city, dawn montage. 2 planets, 1 skyline. Celine's world wakes in silk. Chauffeured SUV gliding down a private lane, concierge hands her a pressed chef coat wrapped in tissue like a baptism dress. She tastes sauces with gold spoons, discarding what the internet will later call haute missteps. Her restaurants hum wall-to-wall bookings, plates plated with tweezers, wait lists months long. Producers text, investors nod. She's a cathedral to her own name. Malik's world wakes to diesel. The Soul on Wheels food truck coughs awake in a gravel lot kissed by pigeons. He slides open a steel hatch with a shoulder that's been stubborn since high school. Inventory. Onions, chilies, flour, stock bones that promise miracles if you believe long enough. A stack of health inspection forms balanced with a rubber band that used to hold asparagus. Celine walks through a test kitchen where counters are white as dental smiles. Mirror-polished copper looks down approvingly. Malik walks through a neighborhood where grandmothers sell bunches of herbs from plastic buckets. Kids wave. He pays in exact change because cash flow is another mouth to feed. He tastes a peach a vendor presses into his hand juice running down his wrist and files the flavor under August first day of school. Celine's fingers rest on a remote for her new streaming series, Ardmore Axiom. Tagline: Perfection is proof. Malik's fingers rest on a scar that splits the knuckle, a reminder from a night he dived to catch a falling pot rather than let it shatter and wake his sleeping daughter. Celine's portraits hang in foyers, her signature a flourish like a sword. Malik's signatures are grease-penciled hearts on brown paper bags. Thank you in block letters, a small drawing of a fork with wings, 2 worlds, same city, different gravity, NT network boardroom, day. Contracts spread like tablecloths. A producer taps a clause, ownership of recipes. Celine doesn't blink. Branding is oxygen. Oxygen is billed by the breath. You understand, the lawyer says, that we license not just your current catalog but any derivative. Of course, Celine interrupts, smiling with the clean cruelty of someone who always gets the window seat. Standards are standards. Standards. The word echoes down into Malik's world like a coin dropped into a well. Health codes, permits, parking zones that shift like mirages, commissary fees, gas prices, food costs that don't listen to prayers, algorithmic cruelty. If a customer posts a one-star photo because the bun sweated in the box, a week's worth of foot traffic evaporates. The culinary elite's rules arrive ironed. They taste like Latin and legacy. Mise en place, sous vide, terroir. Judges who sip, then sentence. Elevated is a passport stamped by a club whose dress code is invisible but felt. The street's rules arrive scratched into stainless steel. Serve hot, serve honest. No names. Fix what's broken with tape and ingenuity. Don't run out of napkins. Remember the regular who lost his job. Add 2 wings by mistake. When the gala announced its community showcase, there was fine print. Participants provide their own ingredients. No open flames. Use only approved equipment. Malik signed anyway. Because hope is a gambler. Because you can't change rules you don't touch. The system is built like a staircase whose every step charges interest. If you slip, you pay. If you climb, you pay. If you stand still, you pay with your future. And in that architecture, the invitation is a trap disguised as a compliment. EXT truck. Late night. The city's neon hum dims. Malik scrubs the griddle until it reflects his jawline in the ceiling's last fly. Inside the truck, a family museum in magnets, a crayon sun from Maya, his daughter, a Polaroid of his mother, Lucille, laughing behind a mountain of biscuits. Malik hums an old hymn, not for God, but for rhythm. He tastes yesterday's collard stems pickling in a jar. They've already begun to sing. We see how he moves, efficient, unhurried, changing tempo only for the heat. The habit of being underestimated has made him fluent in invisible. He lets customers finish their stories. He slips a piece of fried okra to a boy whose skateboard wheels are more duct tape than plastic. The boy's eyes are galaxies. On his nightstand later, a paperback with grease moons on the margins, on food and memory, and a notebook of sauce experiments titled in big letters, Maps. Because every dish is a map, where you were, where you're going, who you had to leave behind. He FaceTimes Maya, who tells him that at school someone said the truck smells like love. Malik smiles, widescreen. Then we're doing it right. He hides his talent in plain sight, beneath prices that turn labor into charity and seasoning into apology. But occasionally, late, when the line has thinned and the moon leans in, he plates a dish the way he dreams. A hush puppy split to cradle smoked fish, pickled watermelon rind cut into translucent confetti. He sets it down for himself, takes one bite, closes his eyes. The world slows. Then he wraps it in foil, writes "for tomorrow" with a marker, and gives it away to a man who hums to himself in the alley. Potential is a secret he's been saving for when it matters. In tea. Gala kitchen. Night. Chaos with a dress code. Malik steps to a stainless steel island that looks like a surgery stage. No grill, no open flame. The induction burners hum like surveillance. The pantry is curated. Microgreens auditioning for a role. Truffles kept like jewels. Butter as expensive as regret. Celine, mic'd for mischief, paces near him. "You'll find everything marked," she says, gesturing to a rack of labeled squeeze bottles. Citrus gel, black garlic ash, foam base. Malik's eyes track the ingredients like constellations that spell out no name he knows. Then he finds it, a bin of onion skins bound for the compost. He fingers the paper rustle, hears his mother's voice. "Waste nothing. The soul eats what you throw away." He asks a passing prep cook for a sheet tray, an induction pot, a dehydrator. The kid blinks. "For onion skins?" "Yeah," Malik says, surgical now. "We're going to make smoke without a flame." He toasts the skins until the room smells like late autumn. He grinds them into a powder the color of old stories. He reduces apple cider and vinegar into a glaze that threads memory through air. He whisks a mayonnaise by hand because machines make him feel supervised. Celine watches, her smirk bending. No longer a weapon, now a question. He slices store-perfect scallops into translucent coins and cures them in a cure powder he MacGyvers from salt, sugar packets, and his onion smoke ash. He shaves frozen buttermilk over the top like first snow, though no one told him that was fashionable. He finishes with collared stem brunoise and a line of hot sauce pearls he makes from agar like a science fair prodigy. Someone whispers, "He's plating." Celine's eyebrows lift by a millimeter a Richter scale shift. For a second, her certainty stumbles and heals. The spark lands, int ballroom stage. Later, spotlights rake the steel. A host, lacquered with charisma, grins into the lens. A surprise challenge, street meets sweet. Cameras pivot to Malik and Celine at adjacent stations. Between them, an aisle like a border. Celine goes first, a metronome of competence. Sear, baste, paint. Her food is choreographed applause. Then Malik steps forward with his plate that looks like a memory laid out on porcelain. Cured scallop coins blushing next to a smear of amber vinegar, a dusting of onion smoke, flecks of greens cut so fine they read as punctuation. Gasps. Not because it's pretty, though it is, but because it feels inevitable. Like a song you haven't heard since childhood, but still know every word to. Explain, the host says, half patronizing. Malik's voice is steady. My mama used to save onion skins for stock. I figured if smoke is a memory, you don't need fire to make it. You need recall. Celine laughs, light but off-key. Adorable, he meets her eyes. Taste. The first judge tries not to show it, but there it is, pupils dilating, breath catching. The second judge goes quiet, the way people do when they realize their vocabulary isn't big enough. The third judge nods, slowly, like church. The audience leans forward. Phones tilt. The comments scroll like rain. Celine masks a flinch with a chuckle. Beginner's luck, she tells a camera, but her mic picks up the swallow. Malik doesn't crow. He holds. The confrontation is no longer a joke. It's a referendum. Montage. Days following. Clips ping-pong across feeds. If you can do this, trends. Customers line up outside Soul on Wheels, filming his hands as if they were solving crimes. Malik's scallop dish becomes legend, but he doesn't serve scallops too expensive. Instead, he adapts smoked onion dust over marinated mushrooms, slicked with sunflower seed miso, quick-pickled peaches on pressed cornbread croutons, collard stem gremolata so electric it makes strangers hug. A local critic posts a 90-second reel. Technique without pretense, she says. Elegance dressed as access. Her voice is surprised, and that says more than her words. Meanwhile, Celine's PR team attempts containment. She posts a video, so proud to uplift local talent. Her smile is almost right. The comments are not. Back on the truck, Malik's first win is smaller and bigger. An older man, jazz vinyl in his eyes, returns with a friend and says, "He made me taste my auntie's kitchen. She's been gone 15 years. He wipes his cheeks with his wrist like it owes him money. Boy, thank you. A middle schooler asks Malik to sign her apron. He prints his name carefully, surprised he wants the letters to be beautiful. He starts sleeping less, not because he has to, but because ideas arrive like late buses, annoying to miss, worth the wait. He writes them in the Maps notebook, sweet tea granita for tomatoes, fried chicken crust, breadcrumbs, pasta water emulsion, cider collared juice. He wins a small grant he didn't apply for. Someone else submitted his name. He buys a new burner. The flame is steady now. And somewhere he can't see, a boardroom folds his name into a pitch deck titled Controversy to Conversion. News segments stitch him into a narrative, underdog versus authority. Think pieces sprout like mushrooms after rain. Some praise, some patronize. Is street food the new fine dining? Talk shows invite Celine and Malik for a friendly rematch. Celine's team declines in tasteful language. Scheduling conflicts. Comment sections demand blood or marriage. Memes caption Celine's whisper, "I'll marry you if you can cook better than me," next to Malik holding a spatula like a ring. Celine's empire tightens its jaw. Interns scrub the internet of old clips where she calls certain cuisines primitive. Investors text question marks. A sponsor says the quiet part loud. He's good for the brand if he knows his place. Celine posts a new episode, The Axiom of Provenance. She name-checks regions like trophies, pronounces them perfectly. And yet, comments undercut. This feels like a museum of other people's childhoods. Malik's line doubles, then triples. He hires 2 teens and a grandmother who used to run a church kitchen. He expands his menu cautiously. 1 special a day. He says no to 3 interview requests, and yes to 1 radio host who sounds like late-night comfort. On air, he says, "Food is how we keep our ghosts friendly." Celine sends a letter expensively polite inviting Malik to a charity cook-off to benefit culinary education. The venue, a gleaming institute where students wear debt like a second uniform. The city takes sides. Some sneer that Malik is a fad. Others organize block parties where every ant becomes a judge. A muralist paints Malik's hands as two meteors streaking across a saucepan shaped like a moon. Steaks inflate like a souffle whose collapse would be audible. The cook-off looms. Malik's truck breaks down. Then the replacement part is back-ordered. Health inspectors arrive twice in 1 week. Everything is technically correct. It's the timing that feels like a warning. At home, Maya asks if famous people are always kind. Malik answers carefully. The truth tastes like pennies. He tries new dishes and each is somehow almost. The onions won't sing. The buttermilk snow melts into slush. He burns his hand on a pan he was sure had cooled. Shame is a temperature you can't touch without blistering. He dreams of his mother, not the way she was, but the way memory edits for survival sharper cheekbones, heavier laugh. In the dream she says, "You forgot to rest the dough." He wakes with the taste of regret and metal. Celine's press tour sharpens. She speaks with moral clarity about standards, stewardship, and the responsibility of influence. Clips of her trimming microgreens with surgical focus loop behind her, an alibi of excellence. Malik opens the truck front, only to close early. A woman in line squeezes his arm. "We'll be here tomorrow." He nods, pretending to believe her. He flips through maps and every idea looks like someone else's map routes without destinations. He puts the notebook down, sits on the truck step, and lets the city's low thunder move through him. Doubt is a storm that doesn't care who it rains on. He texts the radio host. "What if I'm just a good Tuesday?" The reply comes back. "Then serve Tuesday like it's a holiday." It doesn't fix anything. It keeps him from quitting. Night before the cook-off, Malik drives truck still dead, so in a borrowed van, to the river where his mother used to take him to watch carnival fireworks reflected in black water. He brings a thermos of tea and the onion skins everyone else throws away. He sets up a camping stove. Legal? No. Necessary? Yes. He burns the onion skins until the night smells like every kitchen he was ever shooed from. He thinks of all the dishes his family stretched to feed one more mouth. He remembers Lucille saying, "The secret is not what you add, it's what you refuse to lose." He pulls out a paper bag of stone-ground grits and a mason jar of pickle brine. He starts to write a new map, memory, grits hydrated, not with water, but with a broth built from smoked onion, chicken bones, black tea, pickling liquid, and a scrap of ham hock. He blends some of the broth into a foam. He hates the word, but loves the lightness, then stops mid-whir. Not foam. Breath. He thinks of breath as permission. He adds molasses to the breath, balancing smoke with dark sweetness. He steeps dill seeds the way his grandmother did when babies cried. He tastes. The world tilts into place, not loudly, but decisively, like a door quietly locking from the inside. He pulls out his phone and types a menu note for tomorrow. Breath of memory over grits, with pickled summer and a ring of collared juss. He laughs because it's too much. He edits, breath and grits, the moon approves, Int Culinary Institute, day, a stadium kitchen, bleachers packed with students, donors, influencers holding phones like mirrors to themselves. 2 stations face the crowd, screens magnify hands to myth. A host, with a smile that bills by the minute, introduces Chef Celine Ardmore and the people's darling, Malik Carter. The format, 90 minutes, pantry provided, induction only, judges from the great pantheon of palates. Celine dons her coat like armor. Malik wears his thrift store tie again. Maya sits front row with an anti-squad. They carry quiet prayers and Tupperware. Go. Celine conducts. Teams synchronized, sauces whispering, proteins singing at controlled temperatures. She paints on plates with the authority of a cartographer claiming land. Malik moves alone, unhurried, making the broth that smells like an old song climbing a new stair. He toasts grits until they smell nutty, adds the breath. He pickles peaches with dill seed on the fly, folds in buttermilk until it falls like early snow. On a separate pan, he coaxes collard stems toward tenderness, then blitzes them with cider until the green is a choir. Cameras sway between them like petals in a wind. Celine crafts an edible chandelier of lobster, fennel pollen, and yuzu vapor. The room applauds the engineering. Malik plates a bowl. It looks like humility. The steam carries onion smoke and Sunday supper. The peaches sit like small suns. He draws a ring of collared juz as thin as regret. Time. Hands up. Celine presents a thesis. Malik offers a memory. The judges lift spoons. Judge 1 tastes Malik's bowl and freezes, not because it's showy, but because it is a door inward. He eats another spoonful, as if it owes him an explanation. What is this? Malik shrugs, shy and exact. I called it breath and grits. It's everything we didn't throw away. Judge 2, the most feared, leans in. You used dill seed? With peaches? My grandma used it to calm colicky babies, Malik says. Seemed like the right kind of peace. The audience laughs, the kind of laugh that feels like permission to feel. Celine's dish dazzles, precision bravura. But after Malik's, it tastes like a recital after a revival. Technical mastery without the handprint of a life. Then, Malik does a thing no one planned. He takes an extra bowl, smaller, unplated, plain, and carries it to the back row where the janitor stands in a doorway, holding a mop like a staff. You hungry? Malik asks. The man blinks, then nods. Malik hands it to him. Cameras pivot like sunflowers. The janitor's eyes close on the first bite. He doesn't speak. He doesn't need to. Gasps leak. A student starts to cry because she recognizes the feeling the institute forgot to budget for. Celine watches calculating, then caught. Her brand knows how to perform generosity. It doesn't know how to recognize kinship. Something cracks. This was never a war of plating. It was a test of what food is for. Malik answers without a press release. In the silence that follows, breath becomes applause. Later, as the judges whisper, a former intern posts a clip, an old behind-the-scenes moment where Celine dismisses an uncredited line-cook stew as two nostalgic people don't pay for feelings. The intern captions, or do they? Emails leak. A sponsor pushed Celine to play up the street angle in her branding. Celine's team had pitched a series called Poverty Chic 3 years ago. It never aired. It lived on a hard drive and in a mindset. But the more important revelation arrives from Malik himself. On stage, when asked what inspired the dish, he doesn't reach for a buzzword or a grant-friendly mission statement. He says, "My mama Lucille. She taught me that flavor is a way of telling the truth." He pauses, voice thinning, then steadies. Truth tastes like where you're from. You can't counterfeit it. You can learn the steps, but you can't fake the foot. A hush, heavy as snowfall. Even the microphones listen. Celine's jaw, sharp as an executive decision, softens by a degree no camera was prepared to measure. She looks at Malik not as a prop or a problem, but as a mirror she'd never agreed to stand in front of. The truth is that excellence without empathy becomes exhibition. The truth is that the street isn't a phase to be monetized. It's a country with elders and laws. The editor of a major food magazine tweets, "Technique is a vehicle. Where are you driving?" The old paradigm begins to wobble. The judges return. Words like transcendent, anchored, and inevitable orbit Malik's bowl. For Celine, they choose impeccable, refined, and fatally distant. The host lifts a card as if it were a crown. By unanimous decision. Before he can finish, Celine raises her hand, a courtroom move. Wait. She steps forward, face mic catching a breath that isn't staged. She looks at Malik, then at the crowd. I said something at the gala. I said, "I'll marry you if you can cook better than me." It was meant as sarcasm in theater. It was also cruelty. A ripple. The internet leans in. She continues. He cooked better than me today. She swallows. Not more complicated. Better. She turns to the judges. I concede. Her PR team screams with their eyes. Investors deflate. Some clap because they were told this is applause. Others clap because this is a sentence finally spoken. Celine takes off her coat. Not a tantrum. A surrender. Beneath is a simple black dress. She drapes the coat over the station like a flag at half-mast. She turns to Malik. As for the marriage, a nervous laugh from the audience. She shakes her head. I'm not your prize. You're not mine. My words were a weapon. I'm sorry. In a different story, she would exit to booze. Here, she stays and listens as people decide who they'll be next. Falling isn't always a crash. Sometimes it's a kneel. After the cameras pack their hunger and go, the institute cafeteria fills with students clustering around Malik. He doesn't pontificate. He shows them the onion skins, grinds a little into their palms, lets them smell the way thrift turns into gospel. Celine approaches Maya and the aunties. She asks Maya about the drawing on her shirt, two hands passing a bowl. Maya says, "It's my dad and the lady in the back row." Celine nods like a student. Investors call Malik. He ignores 4, answers 1. The woman from the community bank who helped his aunt keep her house. He signs a small loan. He announces a brick and mortar that will pay its interns and close on Sundays. He invites the institute to partner not on a TV show, but on a night class for line cooks who work dinner service and dream in bones and broth. Tuition: onion skins, a story, and $5. The class sells out because value is not always priced in money. Celine takes a sabbatical no one asked for. She visits kitchens where she doesn't sign the checks. She eats with her hands. She starts calling her sauces by their names and not their pedigrees. She writes a letter to the intern she belittled, apologizing without forwarding it to the press. On opening night of Breath and Grits, the brick and mortar, Malik seats the janitor from the institute first. He serves him a bowl on the house. The man blesses his food. "May this keep our ghosts friendly." Malik walks the kitchen line, palms each shoulder, looks every cook in the eye. "We cook truth," he says. "Everything else is garnish." The screen returns to the river. Night air. City lights sticking silver keys into the water's pocket. Malik's voiceover. When she said it, "I'll marry you if you can cook better than me." I heard the old thing dressed up as a dare. Prove you belong in a room I'm standing in. But a room isn't a throne. It's a table. And a table isn't a test. It's a promise. We see a montage of hands brown, pale, calloused, manicured passing bowls. We see onion skins lifted like stained glass windows. We see Maya asleep in a booth after homework, a napkin over her face like a tent flag. Malik again. If they tell you your work is cute until they can afford to call it culture, cook anyway. If they rename your grandmother's recipe with French while ignoring the woman who wrote it on a grocery bag, cook anyway. If they say perfection is proof, remember, mercy is proof too. Feed someone who can't feed you back. That's the meal that flips the table. Cut to Celine in a plain apron, hair tied with a rubber band you buy in bulk. She's washing onions. She saves the skins. Back to Malik on the truck step on a quiet morning, holding his maps notebook. He writes one more line. "Underdog is just a dog that learned every alley." He smiles at us, at you. "People will measure you with rulers they stole from someone else's house," he says. "Break the ruler, build a table, season the truth. And when someone whispers a dare disguised as a wedding vow, hear the only vow that matters: feed your people." Title card. If they underestimated you, this story is for you. Lower third. Raw black tails. Subscribe. Comment with the dish that tastes like your truth. Tell us who taught you to save the onion skins. Fade out.